Hi, my dear friends. Welcome to the platform of YouTube and welcome to my YouTube channel, Study Talk with Ashima. I'm Assistant Professor Dr. Ashima Negi. How is everyone doing? Well, I hope everybody is doing absolutely good and great. Don't forget to write in the comment section how you would be liking this very session and future may what would be the various aspects of logical reasoning which you would like me to visit for you with respect to your respective competitive examinations. So before we begin this very session, I would like you to know that this session can be attended by all those students who are preparing for the following examinations. Specifically, if you're appearing in an examination which is of competitive nature after your graduate program, after your graduation, after your UG degree is completed, thereafter, you can appear for any competitive examinations on the lines of the common admission test, that's the CAT examination. You may appear for a MAT examination. Specifically, these examinations are predominant if you're looking forward to get access to your postgraduate degree. So in that perspective, you can take an admission in various universities or colleges which are accepting the CAT and MAT score. But to appear for CAT examinations and MAT examinations, you need to qualify a competitive examination. And for that competitive examination, we need to have a good acquaintance and a good command over various subjects, out of which one of the subjects is called logical reasoning, which we are going to visit today. Apart from that, if you're preparing for the Reserve Bank of India examination, grade B officers examination, which is again an examination you appear in after your graduate program is over. For that examination also, this very session is very helpful. So without further ado, let's begin the very session. But before I go ahead, I would like you to know that on the Unacademy Plus platform, you can access my detailed courses with respect to NTA UGC NET preparation for you guys. On the Plus platform, I'm teaching for both paper 1, that's general paper, as well as management subject, paper code 1717. And you can access my recently launched Outshine batch course for both paper 1 and management. And in case if you're taking a subscription, which I would be very delighted with respect to the fact I would like to host you with plethora of knowledge and information for these very papers, you can use my discount code, which is Ashima Live. This discount code would help you gain access to plus courses with a discount. So don't forget to punch in the discount code Ashima Live without a space. So let's begin the very session, which is with respect to logical reasoning. So today's chapter, which we are going to visit, is called Categorical Syllogisms. Now, there are a lot of varieties of syllogisms which exist in logical reasoning, but predominantly if you're preparing for a CAT examination or you're preparing for the RBI Grade B officers examination, categorical syllogism is something which you need to visit, not the hypothetical syllogisms, number one. Number two, if we talk about categorical syllogisms, it is going to be focusing on the fact that you need to bifurcate the given propositions and premises into two categories. Now, before we go ahead and talk about the categories, let's understand what exactly a proposition is all about. A proposition, or you may call it to be a premise. Well, a premise is something which carries both subject and predicate, and in it, we are talking about what exactly the subject is doing in forms of its predicate. Like, for example, we say that all dogs are barking. Now here we know that the subject here is dog because it is a dog about whom we are talking in this very given proposition, in this given very premise. So this becomes the subject about whom we are going to talk about. Now, what exactly the dog is doing in this very proposition premise? He's barking actually. So it becomes the predicate. Whatsoever the subject do or does in the given premises is called and referred to be as the predicate. So, talking about propositions and premises, it is all about the subject and the predicate and the relationship they may have with each other. Propositions are of four varieties. One proposition is referred to as all subjects are predicate. Here, the relationship of all the subjects is with respect to the predicate. All dogs are available in the street or in your house or in the pet zone, in the pet shop, are all barking, right? So there is a aspect in this way proposition that we are referring to all the subjects and hence all the subjects have a relationship with the predicate. On the other hand, there is another proposition which is referred to, and yes, I did actually write three. I'll let you know why in gradual course of action. So, referring to another proposition, that's the third proposition, we talk about that there is a few subjects which we are going to have been listed out here, whose relationship is something which we are going to see with the predicate. So a few subjects are being represented here with regards to their relationship with the predicate. Now, I left number 2, and now I'm going to visit number 2 here. There is another proposition or premise, we may say, which is referred to as no subject or predicate. Here, what we are talking about, that there is no subject in this world, in fact, entire world, because here the word no subject, that means we're talking about all the subjects in the world, and they have no relationship whatsoever with the given predicate here, right? And the fourth proposition kind or variety or type is again referring to a few subjects only, but then these few subjects do not have any relationship whatsoever with the predicate, with the activity which the subjects, some subjects are doing, but these very some subjects are not doing. So some subjects are not predicate, right? So these are the 4 types of propositions or premise. And now these 4 are going to be divided into categories. Now, if we talk about categorical syllogism, the word category here refers to 2 categories. One category is referred to as the quantity category, and the second is referred to as the quality category. Now, what exactly is the definition? I'll let you know sooner, but here let's understand that these 2 categories are the ones in which we are going to bifurcate or divide these given 4 propositions, and that's why we call the entire chapter of bifurcating propositions into categories known to be categorical syllogisms, right? I hope the definition and the concept of categorical syllogism would be clear to you. If it's not, don't forget to write in the comment section or in the chat section. Now, let's go ahead and let's talk about why exactly the propositions are being bifurcated into quantity and the category of quality. Now, remember I said we have a total of 4 propositions, and all the 4 are going to be bifurcated, right? We don't say that the 2 are going into quantity category, 2 are going into quality. That is definitely not the case here. Okay, now let's focus on the fact what proposition would be referred to the quality and the quantity category. So we are not placing the entire proposition under one category. That is not the concept. The concept here is, when we talk about the chapter called categorical syllogism, is to find out what exactly the relationship is that of subject and predicate. If there is a clear defined relationship between the subject and predicate, which is there in point number 1, that subjects are predicate. So there is a clear defined relationship. We say that the quality category for this very kind of proposition is said to be an affirmative one, or we even call it a positive quality. Why we say so? Why it's affirmative? Why it's affirming? What exactly is it affirming? What exactly is the positivity here? Positivity is with respect to the fact that there is a clear, definite relationship of subject with predicate. All dogs are barking. That means dogs are barking, that there is a relationship of dog and barking. We don't say that cows are barking when the proposition is actually talking about dogs. So in that situation, the proposition affirms that the dogs are barking. So there is a clear relationship, an affirmatory relationship of the dog and the barking activity which he is or all the dogs are doing. Right? Thereafter, if we actually go ahead and visit point number 3, the proposition number 3, which is some subject are said to be predicate, it is again showing us a relationship of affirmation. There is an affirmation of subject being related to predicate in some form or the other, and that's why we say that the quality of this proposition is again said to be affirmative, or we say positive. But now coming to point number 2, which I left before, is that we are talking about no subject. That means we are talking about all subjects. Now, how can we say it's talking about all subjects? Well, look at the fact here. We are writing no subject. That means we are talking about the subjects in entirety have no relationship with the predicate whatsoever. So there is no relationship of subject and predicate, and that is the reason why we say that the quality of the proposition has gone negative. Why it goes negative? Because we are talking about that there is no relationship of subject and predicate, of dogs and barking. There is no affinity of both the subject and the predicate in the given proposition when the word no has been added or the word not has been added. In case of point number 4, some subjects are not predicate. That simply means that the subjects or a few subjects do not have any relationship whatsoever with the predicate. The dogs are not barking. And that's why we say point number 2, proposition number 4 have supposedly figuring out under the quality category of negativity. The relationship of subject predicate has gone negative. So we say the quality subcategory of negative has two varieties of propositions clustered underneath it, beneath it, wherein there is no relationship of subject with that of predicate, right? I hope this point is absolutely clear to you. Now you would have seen I have actually left out the quantity column, the quantity category. Now let's visit that area. Now, if we talk about all subjects are predicate, the quantity always in any given proposition or in any given premises has to be witnessed with respect to the subjects, of all the 4 propositions. So if the subject is said to be some subject, obviously the quantity is being referred to here with respect to only a few subjects. So that means the quantity here has gone particular in nature. The category of quantity is particularizing through this proposition with regards to the subject. There are some dogs which are barking. Some dogs, that means particular, we are talking about those dogs which are there in front of us, or those dogs who are there in the street. Perhaps the dog that is there in your house is barking. There are some dogs which are barking. Rest of the dogs are perhaps sitting quietly. You would have seen all the dogs there, but there are only a few which are actually barking out. So if they're barking only and you're using the word some with respect to the subject, we say that there is a aspect of a few subjects only being visited in this very given proposition or premise under the aspect of study. And the same holds to be true for point number 4. We are again referring to only a few particular dogs here. Some dogs are not predicate. Particular dogs are being represented here, right? But on the other hand, if we talk about point number 1, all subjects, all dogs, all apples are trees, right? Now don't get confused how apples can be trees. Here the logic is not with respect to the mere variety of biology or biosphere which exists in reality today. Here the idea is for you to draw out logic based on the given proposition and the premise, figuring out the relationships of subjects and predicates. That's it. We do not want to get into that aspect whether apples are trees, whether dogs are apples. We're just actually drawing out the logic based on the reference of the proposition's 2 aspects, which is one is subject and predicate, and how they are being categorized based on the quantity they are represented with and based on the quality they may have with respect to the relationship they may have of the subject and predicate. That's the point. Now we talk about proposition number 1, which is talking about referring to all subjects. And all, that means entirety of all the subjects, entirety of all the dogs which may exist in the entire world is what we are referring to. All dogs are barking. All the dogs which I can see in front of me or which I can get to know about exist are barking. So we say the quantity of this very proposition premise has gone to be universal in nature only because of the fact that all subjects are being referred to here. And same holds to be true when we talk about proposition number 2. Now you would say how? Because it says no subject. But the fact is no subject is actually talking about 2 aspects here in this proposition. Number 1, that the subject does not hold any relationship with the predicate, and that is why the quality went negative. Number 1. Number 2, that here all the subjects are being addressed. How we see that? Because the word no is referred and is clubbed together, is clustered together with the subject part. So here we are not actually particularizing any particular subject. We are not particularizing those dogs, only that dog, this dog. We are not doing that. We're talking about no subject. We're talking about no dogs. No dogs in this world. No dogs in this country. So that means we're talking about in the universality of the subject which we are referring to having no relationship with the predicate. So, and that is the reason why we say that the quantity has gone universal in nature. I hope this particular concept of clusterizing propositions into the category of quantity and quality would be perhaps clear to you, and that is what we have visited here in categorical syllogisms. Last, what we are going to do is we are going to practice a few questions on this very topic. And before I go ahead, I would like you to know one more aspect to complete this chapter in totality is the fact that this particular topic of categorical syllogism carries a few symbols as well. Now, when I talk about symbols, when I talk about signs, it simply means that one sign which is assigned to a proposition, and in case if the proposition is missing and somebody says that there is a dog and a barking taking place and the symbol of the proposition is said to be an A, can you tell the quantity? And you would be able to tell the quantity. Why? Because you know that the sign for proposition, all subjects are predicate, is always A. So if I say that the proposition is given to me, which is some dogs are not barking, the symbol for it stands to be an O1. If I say that there is a proposition which has been given to me, which carries an E symbol, and the predicate in it is, let's say, eating, and the subject in it is snake. Now, can you complete the proposition? And you will have the answer that yes, you can do so. Why? Because the sign was an E sign, which represents a universal negative proposition. Universal negative proposition. So here, your complete proposition would be no snake are eating. Why? Because somebody told you the sign of the syllogistic proposition, right? They are also called as syllogistic proposition. Why? Because now you have all the four categorized into signs and symbols, and you know the quantity and quality. So we call them to be syllogistic propositions as well. And in case if any one or two of the proposition premises are given to you, then in that situation, we just call them to be plain sheer propositions. In another instance, in case if two propositions have been given to you, based on which a conclusion is drawn, we call the first two to be premises. I'll let you know how gradually. Let's complete the third one here, which carries a sign of an I, which specifically says that I'm talking about a particular positive proposition. Now, since I said we're going to do a few questions, let's do a few questions here with respect to categorical syllogisms. And then we talk about the next topic, wherein I said why proposition becomes a premise when we add up a conclusion to it. But let's visit the question first. Now, for example, if I am giving you a proposition which says all boxes are bags. Now, you need not be bothered about the fact how could be a box be a bag. We are not talking about a generic sense. I know a box cannot be a bag here, but we are talking about a sheer logic here. And you have to tell me what exactly is the sign here. Now, let's say if you have an option that it may carry a sign which is an E, it may carry a sign which is an I, it may carry a sign which is an O, and it may carry a sign which is an A. Now, how to solve this question? Simply, you have boxes which is the subject, bags which is the predicate, right? And here, all the subjects are being referred to. And boxes and bags are said to having a relationship. There is no negativity attached to it because there is no negation of the relationship of the subject and predicate. And hence we say that the quality of the subject and the premise has gone to be an affirmative one, a positive one. And since all boxes, all the subjects are being referred to here, we say the quantity is universal in nature. So universal quantity and an affirmative quality simply means that this is a universal affirmative proposition, and it is supposed to carry a symbol. Supposed to carry a symbol here. Okay, I hope this definition and this way of solving the question is absolutely okay and clear to you. If not, do let me know in the comment section. Now, let's go ahead and let's do another question here. Okay, what if I say that some balls are not trees? And I give you an option which is an A, an option which is an O, an option which is an E, and an option which is an I. Okay. Now, see, have a look at the fact here that we have the subject which are few in nature. So the quantity has gone particular. The quantity has gone particular. Simply, I know that A cannot be the symbol to it, E cannot be symbol to it, because A and E we have just studied is something which is a symbol for universal quantity quantified propositions. Here we have the word called some with respect to the subject. So only some subjects are being referred to here. And there is a negation of the relationship, a negative relationship of the subject and the predicate. We say balls are not trees. And in that situation, some balls are not trees simply determines that this proposition is a particular negative proposition. And the symbol for particular negative proposition is an O1. We have done that, an O1, right? Some subjects are not predicates, some balls are not trees, and an O symbol, right? So this was something which is referred to as categorical syllogism under logical reasoning, and this particular aspect, chapter, topic can be visited by all those students who are preparing for the CAT examination, MAT examination, any competitive examination which is conducted across the country after your graduate program, be it RBI grade B officers or SBI PO or even SEBI examination or mains examination for banking. All these particular students who are appearing for the respective subjects which I just mentioned can actually go ahead and take this very session and understand what exactly is categorical syllogism all about. Now, since I promised a bonus, and a bonus topic is the one which I'm going to just write it down here on the same slide, is something which is referred to as what exactly is the difference between a premise and a proposition. Now, when I say a premises or premise, it is a combination of two propositions. Remember, two propositions or three propositions, but it is supposed to carry a conclusion with it. So let's say if I have a premise which says all birds are false, another proposition which is some walls are trees. And now I'm drawing a conclusion out of the given above two propositions. So my conclusion is going to remain within the boundary, within the premise of the first two propositions. And that is the reason, since the conclusion is being drawn from the given two propositions only, or given three propositions only, we say that the proposition can be rewritten or reset to be called as a premise, right? Because premise simply means the boundary within which your conclusion lies, right? This house is my premises because this is my boundary, right? So the conclusion remains or comes from within the proposition. We say that the propositions are said to be premises. So the conclusion, let's say here the conclusion is some trees are birds, right? And that is the reason why we call these two particular propositions to be premise number one and premise number two, because it's bound to have a conclusion coming from within the proposition, right? So all said and done, we have completed the topic of categorical syllogisms. We have done a few questions here. We have talked about what exactly is the difference between a proposition and a premise, how a proposition actually become a premise, and what exactly is the context with respect to the signs and the syllogistic symbols of each and every proposition which we have visited in this very session to identify the proposition with regards to the sign it may carry or it is going to carry. With that said and done, I shall take your leave, and that'll be all from my side for this very session. I hope the session was informative. Don't forget to hit it a like and share and subscribe, and do meet me on the Unacademy Plus platform for your preparation requirements with regards to the NTA UGC NET paper, which is going to start for the December 2023 batch, and it starts on the 10th of the month, 10th of July. We have already started the foundation course on the 3rd of July, and the detailed courses are starting on the 10th of July. So hope to see you in live classes, and don't forget to punch in the discount code Ashima Live to gain an access to discounted courses on the Plus platform. That'll be all. Thank you so very much for watching. You guys were a lovely audience. I shall see you very